All right, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a fight review. This one really late getting it out there, but I'm getting it out there. We're going to Singapore for one championship on Prime Video. Number two, we're going to the one atomweight 115 pounds division. Number one ranked one atomweight Stamp Fairtex coming in at 8-2, taking on the number five ranked one atomweight Jihin Radzuan, also coming in at 8-2. So two fighters with identical records, both with numbers next to their names, taking on each other. All right, so first round, Jihin came out aggressive, put Stamp on the back foot right away. Both landed some good shots. Jihin had a takedown attempt, managed to push Stamp to the fence into the clinch. And there was some strong clinch work by Jihin there. She did try to attempt a trip, but Stamp, unfortunately for Jihin, she failed, and Stamp ended up mounted on top of Jihin. There was a good scramble there by Jihin. She managed to get up, tried to take Stamp down again, and got a double leg on the second try. From there, Jihin worked to, she's on the ground, she has Stamp's legs, she's trying to suck up those legs for better control, work her way up to the hips. But Stamp did really good. She was up against the wall, she had her back to the wall, did a real good job of staying balanced and keeping her hips underneath her, not letting Jihin, control them. Then Stamp started landing some elbows to the head of Jihin from on top. Excuse me. And she worked her way to her feet from that point. There's a nice jab by Jihin on a separation, and then she hunted for another takedown right at the end of the round. So pretty strong first round by Jihin, even with the trouble spot getting mounted by Stamp. Second round, Jihin came forward again, troubled Stamp a little bit at first for maybe 15 to 20 seconds. Then Stamp found her range and just started picking Jihin apart. Jihin resorted to a takedown, but it was answered by some knees from Stamp, who then separated. Stamp ended up wobbling Jihin on the feet again, and then Jihin was forced to shoot for the takedown, but Stamp very deftly took her back. Excuse me. Basically, Jihin had one ankle. Stamp basically turned on that ankle and took the back of Jihin. Very nice maneuvering there by Stamp. Stamp then locked on the rear naked choke, and it was pretty tight, but Jihin did a really good job. She fought Stamp's hands, got the upper arm off, and then from there broke the choke. But at that point, Stamp was able to lock on the body triangle, and then Stamp was further punching Jihin, and Jihin was trying to defend the punches from Stamp. Jihin, however, did end up successfully turning in or away from the triangle, gained top control in Stamp's guard, and the round ended at that point with Jihin on top in Stamp's guard. So we get to the third round, and Jihin again for the third straight round took center control, but Stamp backed her off with jabs and kicks, and then Stamp threw a jab and a huge elbow. I mean, huge elbow. And Jihin just straight dropped back to the floor, mouth bloody. Stamp pounced, started landing big elbows from half guard. And like I said, Jihin had a bloody mouth at that point. Now, Jihin was able to break Stamp's posture, basically grabbed onto her, held on long enough to recovered the full guard. From there, some more elbows from Stamp into guard, and she was able to push Jihin to the wall and started stacking her, basically putting all of the weight on Jihin's shoulders. And then Jihin used a high guard. She was trying to defend against Stamp's elbows, but she was also looking for sub opportunities. And then some more big elbows from Stamp, at which point Jihin latched onto one of them and swung her legs up, got a nice armbar. And I mean, it was deep. Stamp was forced to defend. She hopped over because Jihin was belly down. Stamp hopped over, escaped out of the armbar, and then this was the most shocking part. As soon as she escaped, Stamp hopped on a leg of Jihin and started hunting for a knee bar. Last thing I thought I'd ever see from Stamp Fairtex. But Jihin was able to get out of knee bar, and then the fight ended with Jihin back in Stamp's guard on top control. So it went to the judges. All three found it for a unanimous decision for the winner, Stamp Fairtex. I'll tell you what, this fight, this was a fun fight. Okay, it offered a little bit of everything. Had some good striking, some good clinch work, some really good sub attempts. I mean, a whole lot more. This fight just offered everything. This is the kind of fight I love to watch. Like, sometimes rewatching fights to do a review is a chore. This fight wasn't a chore at all. This is a fun fight. And I gotta give it hats off to Stamp. You know, she came in to this fight having gotten finished in the second round against Angela Lee in the title bid. But just like her last loss in MMA, every time Stamp suffers a defeat, she just comes back that much more dangerous. Like, she just goes hard in her training and comes back more dangerous, more well-rounded, continues to round out her skill set, and just finds new ways to threaten her opponents. It's actually a joy to watch, you know. And for a long time, it seemed like Stamp was just a one championship hype job, but she's really put in the effort to improve as a fighter, as an MMA fighter. Now, Jihin had a little success on the feet early, but man, she fell behind real fast. Like, Jihin found out that there are just levels to the striking game. And I hate using that phrase, that there are levels to this, but Jihin definitely found out that there are levels to the striking game, and she fell behind real quick. And, you know, like I said, just to reiterate, Stamp continues to show that she is a threat everywhere. Like, she's not just a Muay Thai fighter. She really is a well-rounded mixed martial artist now. So let's talk things to work on. For Stamp, she did a pretty good job in this fight, but she has to continue working on her takedown defense. Listen, being a striker first, or coming from a striking background, her opponents are always going to come in thinking, well, I'll just take her down. So no matter what, she's got to continue working on her takedown defense. Even though she is a threat on the ground and even from her back, at the end of the day, you're a striker. Got to keep working on that takedown defense. For Jihin Radzuan, footwork. Okay, she needed to use angles, create angles, use angles on her entry to get into range, to strike with Stamp. And she wasn't doing that. She was just kind of moving straight forward. Can't just move straight forward and backwards in a fight against a superior striker. You've got to be clever. You've got to work around their strikes. You've got to, use your footwork. All right, now for fights to make. For Jihin Radzuan, either Ritu Phogat, who also suffered a loss the day before, or a rematch with Itsuki Hirata. Hirata actually wants that rematch with Jihin Radzuan. I think Radzuan would beat her again, but either one of those would make for a good fight. The Ritu Phogat or the Itsuki Hirata rematch. For Stamp, well, that one's easy. Her next fight's already decided. She's going to face Anissa Meksen in a mixed rules Muay Thai and MMA bout at one on Prime Video, I think number 6 in January. So that her work's already decided for her. That should be a fun fight, although I'll admit I'm kind of tired out on mixed rules bouts. Like, I saw them, a bunch of them 10 years ago. So it's like they've been done already. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this fight. Stamp Fairtex defeating Jihin Radzuan via unanimous decision at one on Prime Video number 2. Let me know your thoughts on the fight in the comments down below. Now, if you liked the video, please give it a like. Share it as well. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to Wmma Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.